Mike, check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K Collector. Top of the morning to you. We are on the last day of the work week. Thank God we made it. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. As the weekend comes near, I know that a lot of us are probably going to find some time to do a little bit of game hunting. Maybe you might pass by your local GameStop. Maybe you might run into your local video game store. And if you do happen to go out, there are a few Xbox 360 games that I would just recommend you keep an eye out for if you're buying games to collect and keep in your collection. These are some quality Xbox 360 games that I'm pretty sure you can still easily find out in the wild. A lot of these you can find at GameStop. So definitely be on the lookout. I'll go over these 7 Xbox 360 games with you. But before I do, I woke up this morning and I usually jump on YouTube just to try to, watch a couple videos, see what's going on. And earlier, I saw a video of a gentleman who's a reseller. Now, he doesn't resell video games. He actually resells sneakers. But what I've been seeing is that a lot of people have been talking about quitting reselling, no longer wanting to do it, wanting to get out of it. And it's not just reselling video games, it's reselling sneakers, comic books. Anything that was inflated during the pandemic is becoming harder and harder to sell. So I think there's a lot of individuals who probably have just a lot of inventory of stuff that maybe they want to sell or they're trying to sell, but they can't sell because the prices have dropped too low. And I've seen the same thing happen with video games. There are folks who probably spent crazy amounts of money on video games during the height of the pandemic, and now they don't want to sell because of how much of a loss they're going to take on certain games. And I mean, if you look at it across the board, I would say that there has to have been at least a 15% drop in overall value of just games since I'd say 2020, 2021. Across all systems and across all games, I would say that there's probably been an average of about 15 to 20% in value lost. What does that mean for someone like me? Not a ton. I'm not going to say it doesn't mean anything to me, because if there are games that I have in my collection that I don't want anymore and I do want to sell them, of course you want to get top dollar, right? No one wants to sell anything for a loss, but under the current conditions right now, I just think it's a really, really hard time to resell anything. And in my opinion, if I was between the ages of 15 and let's say 18, instead of trying to resell, I mean, unless you had a really good network and unless you have a really strong infrastructure, meaning and what I mean by that is, and this goes across the board, right? Whether you're trying to resell video games, sneakers, clothing, records, whatever, you're going to need a few things to be successful in that. The first thing, like any other business, is you're going to need cash. You're going to need capital because you have to source the product. Obviously, the more cash you have, the more you can spend, and you usually get the best deals when you buy in bulk. That's anything, right? So I'm sure you're going to get a better deal from a vendor or from a supplier when you buy 100 items versus 1 item, right? So if you have the cash, that's one thing that you need. The second thing that you need is you need to have a network, right? You need to have a network of distribution. You need to have an audience to sell to. Now, obviously, the easiest way to do that is to just post something on Mercari or post something on eBay. But because there's so much competition right now and we're really like in a buyer's market, like this is a buyer's market for a lot of things. If you wanted to get into any type of hobby, if you wanted to get into video games, now's the best time because prices are dropping. If you want to get into whatever it is, a lot of things are dropping. So now is a good time to dive in. Don't be stupid. There are still people who are selling things at a high price, and you can still overpay in this market. But I think if I was between the ages of like 15 and 18, I'd probably go get a job. I'd probably get either a part-time job, something that gets me, 20 to 30 hours per week. And I would get that paycheck and then start building a collection, or I would use the money from that job to start sourcing items. Now, let's say you don't have a job, let's say you don't have money and you're just like hustling, you're grinding. The best place to start when it comes to trying to source items is obviously going to be in the secondhand market. If you're trying to resell video games, the best place to go is going to be obviously Goodwill, Salvation Army, pawn stores, thrift shops. That's where you're going to get your best deals, yard sales, all that stuff. If it's clothing, maybe you want to go to a secondhand store. I know that there are secondhand stores that sometimes will randomly have like used Air Jordans. I remember there was a one time I went into a thrift store and they had an authentic pair of used Red Octobers. So you can find used stuff, clean them up, and then resell them that way. But that is such a slow grind. You know what I mean? Like reselling is such a slow grind in terms of income, right? You're never really going to be able to make enough money to feel like you're actually gaining any traction or building any momentum with sales in a substantial way to where you can actually live life or pay bills. So to me, anyone who's reselling at this point, you're doing it because whatever it is you're reselling or whatever you're into, like I said, whether it's video games, sneakers, you're doing that because you have a passion for it, you love it, and it's bringing you joy, and it's not necessarily the monetary aspect of it. If you are looking to just make money, like if you want to get money, my advice, go get a job. At 15 to 18, go get a job, get a part-time job, get some money, and then start building your collection, or use that money to start building whatever online business or reselling business you're going to try to start. If you're 18 to 24 or 18 to 25, that really should be the time where you're honing in on your skills, figuring out what you actually want to do, what kind of career path you want to choose, whatever it is you're going to do. And if reselling is it, like if selling video games, being a gamer, having a game store, whatever it is, if that's the path you choose, then there are still ways that you can educate yourself, train yourself, build and develop yourself to be the best you can be in that genre. And that I just wanted to kind of give you that morning thought. It's something that I thought about, and I'm interested to know what you think. Is 2024 a good year to be a reseller? Because I don't think so. I don't think this is a good year to really resell anything that was hot 3 or 4 years ago, because in almost every scenario, you're going to wind up selling stuff for less than it's worth. All that being said, let's talk about some 360 games. So we're going to start it off here with Knight's Contract. This is not an expensive game at all on the 360. I think this is like $25 to $30, but it is an action adventure game. You do have special powers and abilities. There are characters you can choose from, and this game gives me like Champions of Norath vibes. Knight's Contract is a cool one. I'm not sure if this came out on the PS3. It probably did. But, 360 games are always cheaper than their PS3 counterparts. So if you can find this one in the wild, I would definitely pick that one up. Another one you might want to look for here is Dynasty Warriors Gundam 3. Now, I recently found Dynasty Warriors Gundam 3 at GameStop for like $17. But I'm pretty sure Dynasty Warriors Gundam 3 is like a $40 to $50 game at this point. This is your hack and slash Dynasty Warrior style game. I haven't played a ton of this to know if it still has the same elements. Like in Dynasty Warriors, I know you can collect your tomes and you have your Mushu that you have to build up to be able to do your special attacks. I'm sure you have a lot of those elements here in the Dynasty Warriors Gundam version. I have all three parts in the series. I think I have Dynasty Warriors Gundam, the first part on the PS3. Then I have Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2 on the PS2. And I have Dynasty Warriors Gundam 3 on both the 360 and PS3. This is one that I would be on the lookout for. GameStop is probably going to have it for under $20, but this is easily a $40 to $45 game. Keep an eye out for that. Alice Madness Returns. This is one of those games that are just like visually stunning and jarring at the same time. Great storyline, kind of like an action adventure 3D platforming game. But it's really all of the kind of quirky and almost kind of eerie elements. I like the way they do I like the way they tie in Alice in the Wonderland in this, but just the freaky the freaky visuals rather, of this game are definitely going to be trippy for you. I like this one. This one was a game that was released on the PS3 as well as the 360, but I got the complete in-box version here on the 360. Definitely keep an eye out for this one. This is floating around in different GameStops that I've seen. this is one that I would grab if you have a chance to do so. But this one is a little bit more expensive. For some reason, GameStop usually has this game for like $34.99, like 35, 36 bucks. This is like a $30, $35 game. I think that's what it goes for, like online. But Alice in Madness Returns is a good one. I would definitely check this one out. Here's a game that I love. Y'all have heard me talk about this a lot. Azura's Wrath. I think it's the cel-shaded graphics of this game that still makes it visually stunning to this day. It's just a really good game. I have it complete in box on the 360. This too was, I believe, available on the PS3. Don't have the PS3 version. I'm sure it's even more expensive. But this is one of those games. I was just talking about games dropping. Azura's Wrath is one of those games that have gone down in value. I remember this was like a $60 game at one point, and I think now it goes for between 30 and 40 bucks, if that. It's a good thing I really like this one. It's got some great visuals in this game. The storyline is cool. The main character is cool. This is just a sick one. And of course, Capcom, right? Capcom always does it right. Azura's Wrath is one that I would look out for. This is like an adventure beat-em-up style game with some pretty cool, interesting elements. I love the way the game opens. You're like flying through space, punching asteroids. It's crazy. This is a good one. Azura's Wrath, I would definitely check that out. Oh, Raiden Fighters. Now, this is another really cool Xbox 360 shoot 'em up. If you like shoot 'em ups, if you're a fan of the Raiden series, you will like this game. I don't think Raiden Fighters Aces is available on any other console unless they did a re-release. I could see Strictly Limited or Limited Run doing a re-release of this game. And if they did, somebody let me know down in the comments. I can't remember if they did. And I can't remember if this game is exclusive to the Xbox 360, but it does have 3 games. It has Raiden Fighters 2, and I believe Raiden Fighters Jet as well. So 3 awesome shoot 'em ups on this one disc classic arcade action. And I definitely recommend this one if you're into shoot 'em ups. 360 had some pretty cool shoot 'em ups on the low. I don't have all of them. I know Death Smiles 1 and 2 was available on the 360. I got the remake that came out for the Switch. I think Limited Run put that one out. Limited Run put that one out. But Raiden Fighters Aces is a great shoot 'em up. Be on the lookout for this one at a GameStop. I'm sure there are copies of this floating around. This is one that I would try to get my hands on. I had to give you one Xbox 360 exclusive. So Fist of the North Star Ken's Rage. So Fist of the North Star Ken's Rage. I'll go ahead and show you. So I have the first part to this series. So I have Fist of the North Star Ken's Rage, which is sick. I love a good 3D beat 'em up. I have all types of versions of Fist of the North Star. I first started playing Fist of the North Star on the Game Boy back in the 90s. But once they transitioned it into this 3D beat 'em up format, I was in love. This is a really cool game on the PS3. Unfortunately, part 2 of Fist of the North Star was never released, I think, in America. I believe part 2 for the PS3 only had a overseas release, like an import release. So in order to get part 2, you had to get it on the Xbox 360. And I'm pretty sure this is an Xbox 360 exclusive for the physical. Somebody let me know down in the comments if I'm wrong, but I don't think I've seen this on any other console. But Fist of the North Star Ken's Rage 2 is pretty much, it's a lot like Ken's Rage, the first part, just additional content. It is available in the US on the Xbox 360, and this is a great beat 'em up. I don't know if you'll find this one at GameStop. This one's a little bit harder to find just because I think it's a little bit more rare. But Ken's Rage is probably like a $40 to $50 game, but still a great value for all the action that you get packed into this one. 2 really great beat 'em ups. If you like beat 'em ups, I would definitely check out these beat 'em ups. I'm a big fan. And last but not least, this game you will definitely find at a GameStop because that's where I found this one. Family Guy. I think I found this for like $14.99 at GameStop, maybe less. And this is easily like a $40, $50 game. GameStop just has deals. And when it comes to games like this, I don't know if they're just not aware or maybe I don't know how their pricing system goes. But Family Guy, Back to the Multiverse, is a cool game. It's like an action adventure game. You can play single or co-op. And you're just, you're in the Family Guy universe, running, gunning, shooting, trying to take on bosses, battling enemies. This is a really cool one to be on the lookout for. And if you're a fan of the Family Guy TV show, then this will be right up your alley. Games like this kind of remind me of like games like Futurama, all those like Adult Swim TV shows that wind up getting their own games. For some reason, those games have a little bit of value to them, and this is definitely one that I would be on the lookout for if you're doing any game hunting. So Xbox 360, great place to start too. If you've never collected video games, or if you're wanting to start getting into video games and you don't have a ton of dough, start with the Xbox 360. Start with the PlayStation 3, because a lot of these games are like under 40. A lot of them, in fact, you could probably find at GameStop for under 20. So if you're thinking about starting a collection in 2024, I don't know if going the reseller route is going to be more beneficial to you than just getting a job, getting a paycheck, and then just go buy the games you want. If you decide that you want to sell the games off after you've purchased them and played them and enjoyed them, then you could definitely do that. And at that point, you could just consider it a rental, right? You rented it for a few weeks, days, years, however long, and then when you were done with it, you sold it. I consider that a long-term rental. But let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you think 2024 is a good time to be a reseller? I do not. I think I think value is just evaporating in a lot of areas. Again, not just video games, but in the collectibles space, in the wearable space, we're just seeing values drop. But I'm interested to know what you think. It's the top of the morning. It's Friday. Hope you have a very productive last day of this week, and then you get to enjoy and relax on the weekend. I'm the Y2K Collector. Be on the lookout for the video that I'll be dropping tomorrow, and take it easy.